Hello and welcome. In this class, we are going to discuss something called as time value of money. So this is chapter 1, the rest of the part. So what is time value? So time value of money means that dollar today is much more valued than dollar tomorrow, because dollar that you're going to get today, you can invest and get returns on it that will be valued much more than the dollar that you're going to get tomorrow. So the first concept that the book discusses is about compound interest and simple interest. So what does it mean? So I'll give you example. Let's say in both these cases you're going making a $5 investment. 1, 2, 4 and 5, and in both these instruments you're investing $100. So what happens? Let's see. And the interest rate in both these cases is 10%. So you're investing $100 in a compound interest instrument, and you're investing $100 in a simple interest instrument, and you're investing for 5 years. So how would it work? So year 1 you get 10% on 100, that is $10. In compound interest also you get 10% on 100, that is $10. So at the beginning of year 2, again this $100 gets invested, and you get 100 multiplied by 10% again, that is $10. So this $10 that you got as interest in year 1 is not reinvested. It comes into your pocket, it is not reinvested at 10% rate. In this case, what will happen? Instead of 100, amount invested in the instrument becomes 100, the original principal, plus the interest, that is 110. So in year 2, in compounding, you get $11 interest. This $1 extra that you are getting is because interest is earning you interest. So year 3, 100 gets invested, you get 10% again. In year 4, 100 gets invested, you get 10% again, and in year 5, 100 gets invested, so you get 10% on 100, that is $10 again. Now in compound interest it is somewhat different. In year 3, 110 plus 11, $121 gets invested. So principal amount plus the interest earned in the previous year, and you get this multiplied by 10%. So you get 12.1. So interest is increasing. Year 4, 121 plus 12.1. So $133 gets invested. So you get this multiplied by 10%, 13.1. And year 5, 133 plus 13.31, $146 gets invested. So you get 10% on it, that is 14.641. So what is the total interest that you have got here? In 5 years, you have got $61 as interest. Here, in 5 years, you're getting $50 of interest. Additional $11 that you have got is because of compounding. Now, as the time period increases, there would be much larger difference between simple interest and compound interest. So this is the first concept. The second concept that they discuss is about effective annual rate. So assume that you're going to get, there are two possibilities, so let's take both possibilities. So in first instrument, you're investing $100 and you're going to get 10% rate of return in 1 year. So at the end of the year, you get 100 multiplied by 10%, that is $10. In second instrument, you're investing again $100, but you're getting 10% a year, but interest is paid every half year. That means you're going to get this divided by 2, that is 5% for every 6 months. So what will happen in this case? So $100 will be invested for first 6 months, in which you get 5% interest. In the next 6 months, this entire amount gets reinvested. The basics of compounding, interest is reinvested. Sorry for that. So this 100 plus 5 gets reinvested, and on that you get 5% interest. So the total interest that you are getting is 10.25. So can you see? Because the compounding happened twice in a year, every 6 months, that is twice in a year, 2 6 months periods in a year, you got higher interest rate than when compounding happened once in a year. Similarly, so you can have a yearly compounding in which compounding takes place once in a year, interest is paid once in a year. A semi-annual compounding, interest is paid twice a year. A quarterly compounding, interest is paid 4 times a year. Monthly compounding, interest is paid 12 times a year, right? So in which case you would get the highest amount of interest? So we have seen, as the compounding frequency increases, as the interest is paid more and more, the interest that is already paid gets reinvested. So the highest amount of return would be in a 12-month period. So how do you find that return? One way is to do this experiment. So invest $100, find out the total interest that you have got in the 12-month period, or you can use this formula. So formula is effective annual rate, the rate that you're getting because compounding was happening more than a year, equals nominal rate, the stated rate, multiplied by 1 plus nominal rate divided by n to the power n minus 1. So this is the formula. So let's put it in. 1 plus 10% equals 1 plus nominal rate was 10% in this case, divided by 2. What is n? Number of times the interest is paid, to the power n again, that is number of times the interest is paid, 2 minus 1. So you get 10.25. So semi-annual will be 10.25. If you have to do it for quarterly, it will be 1 plus 10% divided by 4 now. 4 quarters in a year. So 4 times the interest is getting paid. To the power 4 minus 1. Same way, 1 plus 10% to the power 1 by 12 minus 1. Sorry, it will be divided by it will be divided by 12 to the power 12 minus 1. So if you convert it in percentage and increase it, you can see 12 months period you can expect 10.47, 4 months 10.38, and 4 means quarterly 10.38, and semi-annually 10.25. So as the frequency increases, higher interest you get. So this is the formula. Expected annual return equals 1 plus nominal rate, the stated rate, divided by how many times a year the interest is being paid to you, that is frequency, compounding frequency, to the power compounding frequency minus 1. Okay. The next concept is calculation of future value. So calculation of future value, before doing that, let us understand the concept of timeline. So timeline starts from 0. Timeline has 5 important variables. So it has n, that is number of periods. So number of periods. It can be year, it can be quarters, it can be months, depending on how you are investing. Then it can be, it has I, that is interest. It has PV, that is present value. It has PMT, that is payments. These payments are regular, that has they have same frequency and they are of the same amount. They have to be. Then FV, that is future value. So these are the 5 variables that timeline or time value of money problems will have. N, number of periods. I, interest rates. PV, present value. PMT, regular payments, investments or withdrawal depending on the case. FV, future value. So whenever in life you face a situation about time value of money, 4 will be known, 1 you have to find. So that is what we are going to do. So first is calculation of FV. So for example, you invest $1,500 in a mutual fund that is giving you 8% interest, and then you invest it for 5 years. Okay, and you need to find out how much would you get after this 5 years. So we are finding a value that is in the future. So if you draw a timeline, so 0 to 5, this is the timeline. You're investing $1,500 here. Note the signs. Since you're investing, I'm putting a negative sign because money is flowing out of your pocket. So we follow a sign convention. Whatever you invest moves out of your pocket is negative. Whatever you get or you withdraw comes to you, so it's positive. So at time 0, you invest $1,500. You wait for 5 years and you invest it in an instrument that gives 8% interest. Now common logic says if it is going to give you 8% interest, the value will be higher than 1,500. Now we need to find how much will that value be. So there are three ways to do it. The first way is by using a formula. So future value equals present value multiplied by 1 plus interest rate to the power n. This is the formula. FV, that is value in future, equals present value. Present value is one time investment you are making, or the current value of one time payment, multiplied by 1 plus I to the power n. Now in this example, PMT is 0 because you are not making any regular payments. Okay, so FV equals PV into 1 plus I to the power n, where I is interest rate, n is number of period, PV is the one time payment you are making. So if you put it in formula, it will be 1500 multiplied by 1 plus interest rate, that is 8%, to the power n is 5. So you're going to get $2,204 approximately after 5 years, if you are going to get 8% rate of interest on your $1,500 investment today. This is the first way. Second way is to use your financial calculator. So your financial calculators has 5 inputs. So your financial calculator has 5 inputs, and I in place of I there is also Y. I'll explain what that is. So it has 5 inputs: N, I slash Y, PV, PMT and FV. N is number of periods, I is interest rates, Y is compounding frequency. We have seen in previous thing, compounding frequency can be more than 1. It means how many times interest you are going to get in a year. It can be more than 1. PV is one time investment that you are making. PMT, regular investments or withdrawal you are making. And FV, future value you are going to get. So in this case, what is given to you? So you need to enter known things in your calculator and compute the unknown thing. So you will put N as 5, interest rate as 8%, PV as negative 1500. Please note the sign when you are using a calculator, because you're investing, it's negative. PMT, there are no regular payments, you are making no regular investments, so it's 0. It's neither asked, so it's 0. FV you need to compute, so there is a button called as compute. So press CMT and press FV. You will get an answer of 2204. So second way to calculate it is calculator. The third way to do it is using Excel. So Excel has functions for each of them. So it has a function for period, it has a function for PV, PMT, FV and I. So for calculating FV, there is a function called as FV. So how do you access functions on an Excel? You press the equal to sign, type in FV because you're finding FV, open the bracket and click on FX. So it opens this dialog box that is similar to this. Rate is interest rate, so that is 8%. NPER is number of periods, that is 5. Okay. PMT is 0 because you are not making any regular payments. PV, it's negative 1500. Type is only relevant when you have PMT involved. Type means either you are making regular payments or withdrawals at the beginning of the period or at the end of the period. If you are making payments at the beginning of the month, you will insert, or year, you will insert 1. If you are making it end, you will leave it blank or insert 0. So PV is 1500. So when PMT is 0, it is not relevant to put in any type. So leave it blank. So answer is 2204. The fourth way to do it is by using a present value table or a future value table. So it will give you a future value factor that you have to multiply it. So the table is easy. They have constructed a table assuming you invest $1. So they will have different interest rates and they will have a value regarding it. So you just multiply the value with your actual investment. You will get the answer. Now, let's say instead of one-time payment, you are making a payment that is yearly. So you're investing for buying a new Tesla in 5 years. So you're going to make $3,000 payment each year. Okay, and you're starting right away. So you're investing at the beginning of the year. So how will the timeline look? So in 0 you are making 3,000, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So each year you are making $3,000 payment. And you want to find out how much would you get after 5 years. At the end of 5 years, how much will the value be if you're going to get 7% interest on your investment. So if you're solving in a calculator, okay, first of all, let us put in what is given to us. So n is given as 5 again. Interest rate is given as 7% now. You're not making any one-time payment. So PV is 0. But you're making a regular investment of 3,000 every year. And future value you have to compute. So that is the question. So now instead of PV, you are given PMT. PMT is also called as annuity. Another name for payments is annuity. So this formula will not work because that has present value involved. So you can use either this formula. So 1 plus I to the power n, so to the power n minus 1 divided by I, and the whole thing you have to multiply with annuity. So future value in this case will be 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I multiplied by annuity. I'm not being brave and solving it here because it's not very relevant. We'll either use Calc or Excel in life to do it. Okay. So calculator, you will put in all this thing. Now you want to calculate FV. So N you will insert as 5, I as 7, PV as 0, annuity as minus 3,000. Press compute function and press FV. So you will get the answer. Or you can use Excel. So we are finding FV. So equals to FV. Click on FX. Okay, rate is 7%. Then NPER is 5 years. PMT is minus 3,000. Present value is 0. And type is you're investing at the beginning of the month. So it says beginning of the period 1, end of the period 0. So equals means type is 1. So how much you are going to get? 18,495. Now when you are using Calc, you can also select beginning or end. So there is beginning or end option that is there. So if you are investing at the beginning of period, change this option to beginning. If you are investing at the end of the period, change this option to end. Now the same example, but instead of beginning, you're investing at the end. So what will happen? In FX, I'll just do type 0. So can you see the value changes? Value is little lower because you're losing on 1 year's interest. What is happening at the end of year 1? You're investing. So the first investment of $3,000 actually compounds only for 4 years, not the 5 years, because you're investing at the end of the year. So that's a significant difference. So that's why they have 1 and 0. So if it is beginning of the period, do 1. If it is end of the period, do 0. So this is calculation of FV when PV is given or when PMT is given. Now let's take another example. Assume that you are planning your retirement, for which you have a $10,000 savings in your savings account. You're utilizing that for your retirement. Retirement is 30 years from now. You are investing $10,000 as one-time payment, lump sum payment, and you're also making a regular contribution of $2,000 towards it. Now please remember, both are contributions, investments, so both have negative signs. So N here is 30 years, PV is given, that is 10,000, it is the lump sum payment you're making. PMT is $2,000. Interest rate, let's say, is 8%, and you need to calculate FV, how much you will get. So how would you do it? Formula is combination of this formula plus the previous formula. How do you do it on calculator? Insert everything. N is 30. Interest rate is 8%. PV is 10,000. PMT is 2,000. Future value you need to compute. So CMT, compute future value. You will get the answer. Or you can do it on Excel by using FX function. Interest rate 8% and 30 years. PMT 2000. Signs are important. Both are negative. And PV, a lump sum of 10,000. Assume you are investing at the beginning. So how much do you get? You get 345,000. Okay, you need get 345,000. So let's do one more case and we'll end future value. So assume you are 30 years old and you're planning to retire at the age of 60, and your friend is 40 years old and he also plans to retire at the age of 60. You both approach me. I am your financial planner. Now I assume that a 30-year-old person who plans to retire at the age of 60, how many years to go? 60 minus 30, that is 30 years, and 60 minus 40, that is 20 years. I see that this person has lesser time for retirement. So I make an investment plan for them. I tell this person who is 30 years old to invest $10,000 every year towards retirement, which is giving me 12% return. A mutual fund that is giving me 12% return. And I tell this person to invest $20,000 towards retirement in the same instrument that is giving 12% return. And I want to find out how much would be there with them for expensing as the retirement corpus. So I need to calculate future value. So future value, what is rate of return? 12%. Number of years 30. PMT $10,000 in this case, no present value, and type assuming 1. So how much does he accumulate? $2,700,000. How much will he accumulate? He is investing twice. So future value, interest rate 12%, number of years 20 in his case, PMT is 20,000, PV is 0, type 1. So how much does he get? $1,600,000. So can you see a difference? How much did this person invest? $30,000. How much did he invest? $40,000. So this person invested more, but he still got less. So this is an important factor you have to remember. It's not about how much you invest, it is how soon you invest. So when you're young, you should start your investments right away, because compounding works in your favor. Okay, so time is your greatest asset. Do use that. So the next thing is calculation of PV, present value. So you have same things, N, I, PV, PMT and FV. So 4 things would be given. You need to find PV. So assume you want to buy a house for which you have to make a down payment in 7 years worth $65,000, and you're saving for this down payment in a safe instrument generating 4% return. So you need to know how much you should invest right now in lump sum so that you can get $65,000 after 7 years. So what is given? N is given to be 7. I is given to be 4%. PV you need to find. The current value you need to find. PV is always current or past value. So you are investing currently to get a value in future. That is being asked. PMT is not given. There are no regular investments or withdrawals you are making. And future value is given to you 65,000. So you need 65,000 and you are investing. So 65,000 is positive. Your investments would come as to be negative. So how do you do it? Fill in all these parameters in your calculator and compute PV. Other ways to do it. First way is by using a formula. Formula for it is PV equals FV, instead of multiplication, divide by 1 plus I to the power n minus 1. So this is how you do it, by using formula. So let's do it. 65,000 divided by 1 plus 4% to the power 7, and the whole thing, sorry, there is no minus 1 here. So in this formula there is no minus 1 to the power n. So 49,394. The formula is PV equals FV divided by 1 plus I to the power n. Or you can use Excel. The second way was calculator. Third way was Excel. How do you use Excel? You need to calculate PV. So equals PV, bracket open, click on FX. Rate of return is 4%. N is 7. Regular payments or withdrawals, no. Future value is 65,000, and type doesn't matter because PMT is 0. So you need to have $49,394 as investments to get $65,000 at the end of 7 years. Same way, you can calculate PV when you have an annuity. So instead of a lump sum amount that is required, you require amount each month or each year. So let's take an example. You're retiring right now, right away you're retiring, and you need $30,000 each year from your retirement corpus, and you require it for the next 20 years. And you're making an retirement investment in something that gives you 6% return. So what is given? N is 20, I is 6%, PV you need to find. Now instead of one value, this value you require per year. So you would insert this 30,000 in PMT rather than PV because you require it per year. So then you compute PV and you get an answer. Formula wise, it's a difficult formula. So it's annuity multiplied by 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus I to the power n divided by I. So this whole thing divided by I. You can be brave and solve this using formula, but instead of that we'll either use calculator or you will use Excel. So Excel will be your calculating PV, so equals to PV. Click on FX. Rate of return is 6%. N per is 20 years. PMT is 30,000. You require 30,000 each year. There is no future value, and type, let's say 30,000 you require at the beginning of the year. So you require $364,000 in savings or in investments to make a $30,000 payment for the next 20 years at 6% rate. So we have covered calculation of FV, we have covered calculation of PV. Same way you can calculate PMT when problems are given in that sense, or you can calculate interest rate or number of periods. So this is time value of money. For the introduction class, you just need to focus on calculation of FV and PV. In future classes, in future courses, if you're planning to do CFP or some advanced level personal financial class, then you need to calculate I, N, PMT, etc. So that's it. Thank you.